cues. They know all the news people. They may not all be on the tape, you know, but they know if I say that, according to the way this looks, I'm going to be out of the newsroom. In fact, I'm going to be out of a job. So they know. That's why if today China's a bad guy, China's a bad guy. They all get on it and they find a reason. If Iran is a bad guy, Iran's a bad guy. When Saddam was a good guy, Saddam was a good guy. Right in the middle of the stream, I'm telling you, they didn't even stop to change the reel. They just said, butcher of Baghdad, butcher of Baghdad, Saddam, butcher of Baghdad. I said, boy, these people, they don't, hey man, nobody said, wait just a minute, just a minute. Last week, he was a good guy. He was on our team. Nobody said that. Weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction. Weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction. No weapons of mass destruction? Well, he ought to go to the penitentiary, or this is genocide. It killed 1 million people over here, or 500,000 or 200,000, right? There's no weapons of mass destruction. He just lied, got all these people killed. He destroyed the country. Iraq is destroyed right now. Syria is destroyed right now. Libya is destroyed right now, and they all did that to those people. They destroyed them. Afghanistan is destroyed. The Russians did the best they could, and the Americans come in and bomb what they didn't already bomb. It was nothing else about it. It's pitiful. Now you can imagine, or I can imagine my dear family listening to us talking this new worldism, let's say what the growing chasm between the obsolete institutions of the 20th century and the destabilizing trends of the 21st century is a bad sign, which social actors can tilt history toward a great transition. That's what we're talking about. That's the name of this title. Multilateral bodies are feebled by the myopia of nationalism. The private sector is subject to the tyranny of the bottom line, and civil society organizations are limited by organizational and philosophical fragmentation. Collectively, actions for a sustainable and just global society remain too dispersed, diffused, and small scale. Progress painstakingly won here and there is overwhelmed by systematic deterioration. While the public awareness of emerging dangers grows, apprehensions breeds fear, resignation, and the absence of a compelling alternative vision. Now they say, oh, you didn't write that. Well, actually I did. It just don't sound like me. Why? Because I'm not writing this for me. I'm writing this for them. For everybody else. I already, you see how I talk, so if I write anything for myself, y'all know it's time to get ready to go and all of that. Okay, but that's not the language of everybody else. So you got to have a compelling vision. Great transitions. What is great transitions? It means that the world we want to make, the great transition is internal and external. We have to reconstruct ourselves so we can reconstruct the world. Dumb people cannot make a good world. They make a dumb world, like the one that we have. We know the environmental circumstances pull at you and all of us. But we can either take it, we can either be blamed for everything, like they do with drugs. They put all the drugs here, right? They killed our movement. They destroyed our leaders. Chadwick. So they was playing all of his movies. Last night, Marshall was on, and even before, the one Black Panther was on, you know, and all of that. So one of the things that these relatives from Wakanda, wherever it was trying to convince, is that they kill all of those people's leaders. They kill all their leaders. Remember when they're in Oakland and they looking like me and you and they talk, they said they kill all their leaders. We got to get our stuff, right? And we got all this stuff and we want to share it with them Negroes. Because if we do, they can free themselves up. They can help themselves. And that's what the whole argument about was basically about. That the white woman had a kid and Killmonger was a kid. Now they're going to have to revive Killmonger some kind of way with some voodoo. Yeah, because if they make number 2, Chadwick is not there. So Killmonger, you know the old priest with the bald head, he'll whoop up something out of the earth and blow some spirits. No, Killmonger will come back. They got to it, they can't make nothing else unless, well, they put somebody else. But anyway, that was the argument. That all the people had killed, everybody they got. And so everybody, did you go down to that thing? I said, no, I didn't go down. I said, because everybody there, I said, if Reverend Al was speaking at a funeral and he suggested they have a thing down there, why would I go? Right, why would I go down there? I said, don't you remember the last one? Oh, when Black Lives Matter or something. It wasn't black, it was Ferguson. Because the people, they had the whole lineup on this who's gonna speak. And they had the old guy, I forget his name, I think of it in a minute. The one who used to talk about slavery in Sudan and all that. And the Black Hawk was a Black Hawk.
Joe Madison.
Joe Madison, yeah.
Evil.
Yeah, Joe Madison and all them. That's who they had to speak. So I was listening to WPFW, and I heard in the background, let them speak. Do you remember that chant? Let them speak. They was talking about the people in Ferguson.
Right.
So I gabbled up the family. I said, let's go. I'm ready to go now, because when I heard that, I wasn't going down there. I said, all them, I'm not anti-black, but all them niggas, ain't nowhere in the world. I was going to go down there, because you know what it is. Not to change the subject, but when we went down there, it was a whole crew of people talking about Reverend Al got so many hundreds of thousands, 300,000 from, I don't know, toothpaste company, somebody. You know what I mean? That it's so ridiculous, it's so outward. Why would we want to even, but then the people from Ferguson spoke. And so that's what brought it real. Everybody else was hand-picked.
Right. Just part of the show.
They was hand-picked. Part of the show is the theater. Remember down there the other week, the other month we was down there, and we on the microphone, we tell them this is theater, this is Hollywood, and there's then our homeboy, the big old white boy with the hair, right? I said, no. First we was being friendly with him, but we knew he was the police. And as soon as he got started, we knew he's the police. Right? And he's going to argue with the police, come get me, sucker, all that old stuff. Right? To cause trouble down there. Now imagine, I'm telling y'all this, and I'm also inviting y'all to join the struggle to liberate America. I know it. It's not a contradiction, it's just filling you in on where we are. We are not a big Negro from Oakland, 1971. We are evolved. We've been evolving all the time. Just like we was evolving then, you got to remember, 1966 is different than 1970. We done evolved then, right in front of your face. You can't deny it. It's a big evolution. So you might have thought, well, if the white man run him off in 1971, well, he goes to Africa. that was good. What happens in Africa? You get educated in colonialism, and I was so fortunate. Kwame Nkrumah's press secretary, I lived with him for a while in Algeria, because Kwame Nkrumah was kicked out of, Ghana. So when you go, everybody with you gotta go. So he gave me the game on colonialism. And imagine a press secretary. He could talk real good. When I left going to Black Africa, he gave me a letter to Muhammad Babu. Kofi Bashar was his name. If you read Malcolm's book, you'll see his name in there. Kofi Bashar. In fact, I was speaking at Allen Temple Church, and all my family just relate. There's a preacher there. You know where Allen Temple got Mexican preachers, they got black preachers, and one is from Ghana. And when I preached at Tommy's funeral, I mentioned something about Africa. And I mentioned one of Mahalia Jackson's records. So he came to me and said, where could I get that? I said, shoot, I'll get it to you, I'll give it to you, I guess, But then he asked, so you were in Africa? And so we talked, and I said, yeah, I used to, oh, you from Ghana? One of my friends was from Ghana, Kofi Bashar. He gave me a number with 805. He said, right now, he's kind of not wheelchair bound, but when you get older. He's in Santa Barbara right now. I would imagine that was 10 years ago, so he's probably passed away by now. But anyway, the point I'm making, from Oakland to Africa is evolution. Can you imagine the amount of evolution that you make when you move from East Oakland to the whole African continent? And you learn about all of that colonialism, neo-colonialism, right? So you're prepared for the liberation of all of these new countries that are going to be liberated in the future. And you're aware of the history of the old colonialism, right? So you got a picture. Can you imagine how many books you have to read, how many classes you have to attend, how many years you have to go through all that? And I learned the whole story in 6 months. It's a crash course, right? So then anytime you read something after that about Africa, you know what it means. Yeah, King Leopold, he owned the Congo. Can you imagine? One man owned personally the whole Congo. Good God. And the Congo that means what and then, okay, then you gotta imagine the period when we're back here. Now, for y'all wouldn't want to go to prison. But remember, how much time was I out of prison when I was young? Remember? I go to jail, 1957, I come back in 1959. That's a long time for a kid, 14 years old, right? And I go back in 2 or 3 months, right? And I come out when I'm 16. Fred C. Nellis School for Boys. So you got to remember. And of course I stayed out a little while, a few months. I might even stayed out a year. Good God Almighty, that was a while. But I was right back. When I came home next time at 65, the whole world is different. Can you imagine when I went in jail in 62 or 63, 62, it was like the Stone Age, And when I came out, freedom rides had passed. They had the March on Washington. They had all of that stuff going on. And I came out, when I came out, white folks was over here, black folks was over there. And I came home and all the white kids was trying to be with black kids, flower children, you know, I always talk about when I got pictures of. I said, good God Almighty, what in the world is going on out here? I mean, this is really, you gotta imagine, that's how fast it changed. I come home 65 and they thought I was a mutant something. You don't drink no more? I said, no, I don't drink no more. You don't eat no pork? I don't eat no pork. I just took it a step further. I don't eat any meat. You don't eat no meat? You don't drink? No. You ain't even smoking cigarettes? No, I don't smoke cigarettes. Well, what do you do? This is a question. This was a question everybody, all my friends, they was looking at me like I just came from the moon. I just took the moon and shot it, just landed here from outer space. Because how many niggas in 65 didn't eat pork? We had grease cans on our stove, right? You had a grease can. I mean, to get real grease, the bacon grease. You didn't know that. We might buy one thing of Crisco a year, but most of our stuff was cooked in bacon grease, and your cookies is made in bacon grease. Good God Almighty, that was nothing. The soap was made out of tallow weight. You know, tallow weight, that's what white folk call fat, tallow weight.
They didn't go that far.
Huh?
We didn't go that far. We didn't.
No, I'm saying, no, what you didn't know, the soap was made by tallow weight.
That was in the store already.
This is in the store already. No, we didn't make,
right.
no, we, look. But in the South, people, when they made soap, they took lye and they mixed it with the ashes, you know, the ashes, how smooth they are in the fireplace. They mixed those, and then they mixed the lard. That's how you made soap. They had white folks soap like that, lava. Yeah, shoot. So anyway, and then that old lye soap, the old big block, suppose you left it in your hair too long. It would turn your hair red and it would almost straighten your hair, just the soap. Anyway, let's get back to the transitions. See, this is a family appeal. Y'all are looking at me according to what I was. Like that was big in 1970, 71. It is the biggest thing that happened there. People cannot get, I get tired of people reminding me, because that was their heyday. All my friends that were girls and all that, they used to love to ride up to the place. We felt like movie stars. They tell my kids, they're not kids now, they're 60-something years old. We felt like movie stars and all of that. That was their heyday. That's 100 years ago, right? We're not the same as we was then. We didn't evolve. That's what evolution is about. We didn't evolve to this point that we're able to take the models. When we say take a model, the Masjid, school, business, geographical integrity. This is a model, right? This stuff worked. The stuff in Oakland worked. Those are models. Okay, the other stuff, we may not have paid as much attention to that for certain reasons, which I'll get to in a minute. And this holistic shift in the structure of society and its relation to nature, all aspects of culture are evolving. Developments in each domain, values and knowledge, demography, and social relations, economic and governance institutions, and technology, and the environment interact with changes in the others in an amplifying and accelerating global process. The thread of connectivity grows longer and denser. Economic independence, far-flung cultural influence, earth-shrinking communications technology, geopolitical entanglement, and environmental degradation. In the whirlpool of transition, the very coordinates through which history moves, time and place, seem altered. Okay, we're talking about acceleration and change. You know, the way everything is accelerating. It's speeding up. Global connectivity. The world don't even seem, you know, Africa used to seem like a long way off. It seems like it's right around the corner. Why? Because global communication, as soon as something happens in Africa, it's right there on the news. It don't take 2 weeks for the news to get here, right? You see it right there, right in live. The time it takes to get places is shrinking all the time. In other words, but this shrinkage makes the solution global solution, human solutions, right? Not national solutions. Okay, so we just hit 1 or 2 more and then we'll, great transitions. Examine the worlds that transcend reform. Going on to embrace new values and changes the precepts of the global development. One variable, eco-communalism, encompass the small is beautiful, visions favored by some environmental and anarchist subcultures. However, it is difficult to envision how a patchwork of self-sustaining communities could emerge from our increasingly connected world, except perhaps in recovery from collapse. In other words, small is beautiful might look good after the global collapse. But we want to avoid a global collapse. That's why we said we don't want the world to collapse. But if it stayed moving like it's moving, there's only one way it could go, is collapse. There's nothing, okay.